FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's January 15th, 2019. Almost half the first month of the year is gone. And how did it happen? I don't know. Time just goes so quickly. As a wise person once said, the days drag on, but the years fly by. In any event, we love it when you write, when you join the show. Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, we got a shutdown, we got a trade war, and God only knows what else is happening. But our good friend Matt Nye, chairman of the Republican Liberty Caucus and seasoned political analyst, is with us now. Matt, you represent the libertarian wing of the Republican Party, which seems to be shriveling. But hey, welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So what about that shutdown, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's a record setter. So, we'll give the president kudos for he's an overachiever.
Yeah. Well, when you look, okay, on the one hand, it looks like the shutdown is about the border wall. But our good friend, Thomas Lifson, who writes for AmericanThinker.com, has perhaps a different perspective. And I've said it on some other segments today, but I want to say it now. So as of today, the shutdown is 25 days. Once it hits 30 days, bureaucrats who are furloughed for 30 days or more can have their jobs eliminated. This is what's called a RIF, R-I-F, a reduction in force. And of course, there's a bunch of protections that come along with it. It depends on tenure, veteran status, whether you were in the service, armed services or not, total federal, civilian, and military service, and performance. Naturally, performance comes last. So you can't use RIF to get rid of bad employees, but you can use RIF to get rid of whole departments, agencies, etc. I mean, that's totally in the executive power. Sure, there'll be lots of lawsuits and everything else that you can imagine, and they'll overrule it in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, but eventually it will go to the Supreme Court. The executive's ability to hire and fire really is not something that can be trifled with. He's got the right to do it. So you think he's going to pull the trigger here? Get rid of 400,000 or 500,000 employees in one fell swoop?
Well, I got to say that would give him some serious leverage in terms of negotiating, right, for a $5.7 billion wall. So that's I was not aware of that. That's a very interesting prospect, and it kind of goes back to the bigger picture. Like you say, I don't think it's really about money, right? You're talking, $5 billion for a wall is roughly 0.1% of what the government spent last year. So don't really think it's a money thing so much as it is some sort of political gamesmanship. So that's, I think most people, if you're not directly, if you're not one of the workers that's been furloughed, most Americans haven't experienced any real ill effects other than, obviously you got the TSA issues at the Atlanta airport you've been reading about. And I know a couple of folks that own businesses that are affected by the fact that their FDA inspections aren't taking place, and so they're taking a very serious financial hit because they can't manufacture products in the absence of the FDA inspector. But beyond that, I think most Americans are pretty much unaffected, and that goes, when they say these are non-essential workers, I think they're proving the point. We're 25 days in. So.
Yeah. Hey, what is a non-essential worker? In the private sector, if you have you know what you do with a non-essential employee, Matt?
Terminate them.
Yeah, with extreme prejudice.
That's what there are. I don't think there are any non-essential employees in private sector.
Well, there are, but there shouldn't be. And there's dead weight in every organization. So there was an article written commentary from an anonymous, high-ranking senior Trump official in the Daily Caller yesterday, which said that on an average day, roughly 15% of the employees around me are exceptional patriots serving their country. I assume that means they're working. I wish I could give competitive salaries to them and no one else, but 80% feel no pressure to produce. If they don't feel like doing what they are told, they don't. And why would they? We can't fire them. They avoid attention, plan for the weekend, all that good stuff. So the fact of the matter is, this could be a golden opportunity to totally reshape the government. And boy, what if this was really Trump's intention all along, to sucker the Congress into the shutdown? How many Americans are going to be upset if 400,000 federal employees lose their jobs? Really?
Well, right, yeah, and I'll be the first, if that actually happens, then I will be the first to admit that there is something to the whole 4D chess, because that would be, I think, proof of his 4D chess ability.
Well, he seems to, be content to let it go on. Hey, maybe they started it and then somebody realized this afterwards. He's got some smart people around him. One thing I know from Trump, from personal experience, having handled a couple of very minor cases for him, Matt, in the past, is that he is a connoisseur of legal talent. He's always had a knack of picking out really good attorneys for the appointed purpose. So it could very well be that they've been reviewing all the laws all along, looking for ways to do things without Congress, because this is a perfect way to leapfrog Congress and not...
Sure.
Hey, because the executive's got the right to put together departments, rearrange them like deck chairs on the Titanic, and do what he wants. So sure, there'll be lawsuits galore here, but in the final analysis, he's going to win this one. It's a question of, well, was this a furlough or not? Yes, it's a furlough. Everyone's called it that. It'd be hard... it's like the meaning of the word is what that is, right? So,
well, sure, and like you say, I mean, the fact that they're not needed, if you can go an entire month, with minimal to no impact of those folks not working, that kind of makes the case, right? That you can do without them. So yeah, that's
pretty cool, huh?
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Like, that's using the law in ways, you see, as a lawyer, you can appreciate this because it's using the law in ways that the law was never intended to be used. And it's brilliant. So even if he gets rid of 250,000 of these people, and they cost us $100,000 a year with everything, and it's probably a lot more than that, we'll save $25 billion a year, which is enough to pay for a wall, isn't it?
Oh, more, yeah, sure. No, it's that's a fascinating. We'll see. Like I say, I guess we've only got to wait another 5 or 6 days to find out if that's the plan. And I do think it will be entertaining, right? To as you said, watch the lawsuits be filed. Challenge. I mean, he is the executive. His job is to manage the government. That's the purpose of the position. So that will be pretty funny to see the folks arguing that he doesn't have the right to do those things.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals will find otherwise. Probably some lower court judges as well. But the fact is, it's going to be interesting. So, hey, what about the trade war? That's another area where maybe he's playing 4D chess.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Egypt is on the verge, once again, becoming a world-renowned gold producer. The Golden Age is being rediscovered. For millennia, ancient Egyptian kingdoms prospered from unparalleled riches. Pharaohs built their empires and flaunted their abundant wealth that was made possible by the country's resource-rich gold deposits. Despite this rich history, modern Egypt remains one of the most underdeveloped gold mining countries in the world. Aton Resources is at the center of the modern Egyptian mining world, diligently working both as the only public exploration company in Egypt today and as the advocate for mining reform with the Egyptian government. However, those that arrive early like Eitan will reap the best rewards. Eitan's discovery of the legendary Lost Mountain of Gold at Rodruin and its current aggressive drilling program there could potentially reap those rewards. Eitan Resources is focused on its 100% owned Abu Marawat concession in the Arabian-Nubian Shield, located 200 kilometers north of Centamin Sakari's world-class gold mine. Eitan possesses first-mover advantage in the under-followed jurisdiction of Egypt, which is currently undergoing mining reform. To stay on top of Eitan's latest drill results and news, go to eitanresources.com. Eitan trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the ticker AAN and on the OTC under the ticker ANLBF.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
That's what I'm hoping, is that the Chinese, obviously it sounds like they've got some economic troubles brewing, and, perhaps they will blank and we'll end up with no tariffs or very reduced tariffs on both sides. But I can tell you, my industry, I'm in the technology industry. We received a letter from one of our manufacturer partners, I think it was back in mid-November, that time frame. And they basically said, hey, on the following list of products that are being manufactured in China are going to increase in cost by 25% effective January 1st as a direct result of the tariffs, the trade war between the U.S. and China. And so, the products we sell, these are on average, $3,000-$4,000 devices. So when you increase the cost by 25%, that's a significant increase. And so you can imagine, if you extrapolate, that's just one phone manufacturer out of, half a dozen major players in the industry. And then, of course, extrapolate that out across all these other technology products and things. You could imagine the economic impact those are having. And the U.S. consumer is paying, footing the bill for those price increases, not the Chinese. The Chinese are suffering a different type of damage in terms of, diminished demand and whatnot. But those are, those are very real dollars, and they're affecting, in my position, we sell to a lot. The irony is we sell to a lot of city, county, local government, and also, small businesses, 1,000 employee type businesses. So, the concern is the damage from the tariffs, the increased cost to the U.S. consumer as a result of the tariffs is more than offsetting the good that was done with the deregulation on the back end and the tax reform bill, the tax cuts. So we'll see how it shakes out, but I hope that, like you said, we end up in a situation where, the Chinese drop, like we both end up with no tariffs. So,
yeah, well, that's what Trump really wants, right? He does want this. He wants a tariff-free world, correct?
I think, I'm not sure he wants tariff-free, but he wants it to be equal, right? He wants a fair, level playing field. So,
yeah.
I'm not sure I've ever heard him say that he wants no tariffs. I just know that he wants, he wants it to be fair for both sides.
Yeah, and free. He really wants mostly free trade here, so that
free would be the easiest, right? That would be the easiest way to do it, is have no, right?
Yeah, that's what he really wants. But till the rest of the world catches up, he's not going to budge here, is he?
No, I mean, that is the one thing that you do have to admire, especially, the shutdown, especially with the shutdown, as he's sticking to his guns. And like you say, you can imagine the pressure is going to continue to ratchet up here, as especially, like you say, when you hit that 30-day milestone.
Yeah,
so.
And we're going to hit it. So, hey, but, there's a lot of reasons for it. And yes, tariffs are bad. And normally I'd be against them, but there is a higher principle that he's standing here for, which is stopping of technological theft, IP theft, and forced technology transfers, which the Chinese have been doing for years and years and years, and we've let them get away with it to the point where what really is our choice here?
Yeah, that it gets a lot more complicated when you pull in like you say, the intellectual property aspect of it, the national security aspect. Things do get a lot more complicated when you start rolling all those things in. So,
well, for sure. Anyways, well, if nothing else, this presidency is different, and it's more interesting, more followed than any other presidency in history, don't you think?
It's that's what I say. It's incredibly refreshing, and that's what I think. Obviously, a lot of Trump's appeal is the fact that he is unabashedly pro-American, and you couldn't have a sharper contrast from the last president, right? You had, Obama, the apologist, going around the world apologizing for America's greatness. And now you've just gone 180 degrees the other direction. It's really, really refreshing, and I think that's a big part of his appeal. Is people really appreciate the fact that he values America. He values the principles. He's obviously pro-business, and he's not going to, apologize for the things that make us great. And like you say, and he's not going to back down. Like you say, he's obviously taken it to the media. So there's no question. I don't think we've ever had a president like this in terms of his willingness to combat, everyone on every front. And, it is pretty amazing when you think about, the amount. Just imagine the nonstop onslaught. Where you've got the media. Just literally everybody is gunning for you. Facts don't matter. That's what's really amazing is to be able to get up every day and continue to function in that type of environment is really, really impressive. I mean, it's you get people literally making things up, lying about you, completely downplaying, ignoring actual facts and achievement. It's pretty impressive.
Yep, it definitely is. And we've never seen anyone like Donald Trump, and I think we never will again. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens after Trump. But,
that could be very anticlimactic, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. We don't know. But anyway, Matt, hey, we want to find out more about the Liberty Caucus, about you. What do we do?
So, as you said earlier, we were founded as the libertarian wing of the Republican Party by some big L libertarians who decided the third-party approach wasn't working, and that was back in 1991. Since then, we've grown to include in addition to traditional small L libertarian types, we've got constitutional conservatives. We had some Tea Party folks come in. So we're, if you're for limited government, free enterprise, and individual rights, then you should check us out at rlc.org. You can follow us at our Liberty Caucus on Twitter.
Excellent. And hey, while you're at it, got any questions for Matt or myself, email us. The address is kl@kerrylutz.com. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on YouTube, I should say, or listening to the podcast through other means, please subscribe, like, and share. It really helps me a lot. It helps the show, and it helps get the word out to so many of you out there. These ideas are important. You need to know about them, especially in the era of AOC, Alexandria, occasional cortex. You really you need to get these messages out, these ideas out to the millennials, because they are the next greatest generation. God help us. Matt, thanks so much for coming on.
The future looks grim, my friend.
All right. Well, it's this. My partner used to say, in law, the situation is always hopeless but never serious. And hopefully that's the case here. Anyway.
Yeah, you're supposed to close on a high note here.
Yeah, I am. Don't take it too serious. We have other things in our lives. Politics is just one area. If you're obsessed with it, stop watching television news. It's the best way to do it. Get your news through written content. Don't watch it because it's all lies. And more importantly, it's manipulative, using images to manipulate your emotions and disable your analytical and critical skills that stop every piece of garbage that you hear from penetrating your cortex, which in AOC's case, she doesn't have to worry because she doesn't use it enough for it to really do any harm anyway. Anyway, Matt, we'll leave it at that. Always great talking to you, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.